Korean intonation. The way that they're even like saying the words has that like.
Yo ni siquiera le hice daño, solamente escapé y me lo mismo mato.
What's the term for it? Like they're saying it with their chest. It's coming. The noises are coming out of their bellies almost.
Nada, ¿te sirve a vos?
The cadence, yes. It's awesome. Yeah, bravado, gusto, those are good words as well. Thank you.
Country also grapples with sector-specific tariffs.
It's called pansori in Korean. Okay, that's what it's called. I love it. I personally think it's awesome. I hope Donald Trump also does like these parades as well. I do like parades. I love parades. I think they're gay as fuck. But military parades are kind of cool. And the other thing that I like is, if the military, instead of like doing death and destruction, built shit and then did parades, I'd be
the Countess has escaped with the beast. Every attempt to control it has ended in cataclysm. We must pursue her to the plains of Bastille.
They just look cool in general.
We should find America's caravan. Only they can lead us through that harsh and unforgiving land.
Given that he's a real MAGA communist, they'll also embalm him as well after his passing. No, I don't like air shows. Air shows are not cool. Parades are cool because like it's right there in front of you. It's more. It's like something you can immediately see. I feel like air shows are not as cool. I don't really think about it in the same way. I don't know. I think air shows are kind of whack in comparison to the like military parades where they're like marching side by side. You know what I mean?
The renaissance of American manufacturing coming because Donald Trump is bringing them back. He's driving them back. $6 trillion. He said today he's got committed to America. It's unbelievable.
And other countries are also responding. Mexico and Canada both hastening negotiations with the U.S. toward a new USMCA trade deal. Eric Trump posted to X, "I wouldn't want to be the last country that tries to negotiate a trade deal with Donald Trump. The first to negotiate will win. The last will absolutely lose. I've seen this movie my entire life." Meantime, Democrats are sounding off about the inflationary impacts of this plan. In the House, planning to force a vote to try to kill the tariffs entirely, guys. All right, thank you so much. Brian?
So this just came across, guys. So China officially has retaliated. You know, when you put the fentanyl penalty along with the tariff that issued yesterday, we have tariffed China over 50%. They have just responded. They don't want to be bullied there, folks. They with a 34% tariff. They also listed 11 American companies of so-called unreliable entities, and they're going to fault chicken imports too. Listen, we get a lot more from them than they get from us. Yeah, and drone companies, which a lot of it's going to hurt the defense industry too, because a lot of the parts that we use, sadly and astoundingly, that our Pentagon uses are from parts and materials that we get from China. So this is a big wake-up call. The other big story is pharmaceuticals are going to be targeted as early as today. Why? Remember, we don't make any drugs here, but yet we use them all. So how do you bring manufacturing back? Well, if you're in Ireland, there's no reason to come here. It's at 0%. But now we're going to start bringing it back as tariffs hit. Last week, China, it looks like we're going to tariff third parties that buy Venezuelan oil. Guess who buys Venezuelan oil? China. So they could be hit.
El frasco de vida ese a ver si es mejor que el que yo tengo. Sí, definitivamente lo que necesitaba.
Producing, they're being bullied is comical. They steal products. They use slave labor. They spy on everything that we do, especially if you're a company there, you got to turn over all your data to them as well, and they use that to build up. They're funding some of our enemies as well. So if there's anybody getting bullied, it's the United States. We finally, you had COVID as well. Good point, Ainsley. So what we have now is a president that is taking it seriously and taking it to China.
Yeah, and Bill Ackman, who is the billionaire hedge fund guy, he said, my advice to foreign leaders
is that if you have not already reached...
Yeah, Bill A. Paxman had another fucking statement that was really funny where he was like, Mr. President, please don't tariff China. I mean, please don't tariff Israel. That was hilarious. He's like, Mr. President, please. Bill smoking crackman. Hilarious. Get fucked, Bill.
reached out to President Donald Trump, you need to do so immediately. Trump is, at his core, a deal maker who sees the world as a series of transactions. Based on his track record to date with foreign governments, law firms, and universities, he is a tough but fair negotiator. He loves to make deals, and he loves to get things done promptly. Promptly. I expect Trump will reward the early deal makers with fairer deals than those that wait to sit down at the negotiation table, which sounds just like what Eric Trump said. And Donald Trump said, every country is home. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat. So I think if you're one of the first few countries that's calling them, trying to make a deal, that's the one that's going to get, those countries are going to get the headlines and going to say they're working with the United States. So I think it would be smart if they were doing this. It looks like they might be behind the scenes.
No, bad.
So a couple of things.
Frozen
yesterday,
will
Anthony and I,
explode.
we know a shirt manufacturer,
Yes.
textiles. And he said the one thing that I was showing Ainsley the text messages that people should realize is that we don't really have textile mills that make shirts because it's not a matter of just plugging it in, turning on a machine. You actually need skilled people to do it. So if you're going to tariff 25%, let's say, coming from Vietnam, right away they almost become insolvent, especially if you took on debt after the pandemic to keep your company alive.
Uy, sí.
So there's so many different elements to it. You could sincerely want to bring your business back. But America right now says, I'm sorry, all we have is vacant warehouses where factories used to be, or we were never good at it.
You don't say. This is why Brian Kilme, Mr. Kill Myself, is a fake friend. He's always been a fake friend of Trump. This is why he played baseball with fucking Ron DeSantis, like Ron DeSantis was his dad. This is what he was worried about. And now he's just like trying to manage the situation while not getting fired from the regime propaganda outlet.
Ethan Lane, the senior vice president of government affairs, exporters, said doesn't love tariffs, but understands what Trump's doing.
Nobody who imports or exports likes tariffs, us included, right? This is not a tool that we would pick if we had other options, but the president makes a very good point that for a very long time, we've had the raw end of a lot of these trade deals. You know, in the case of the beef industry, we've been used as a trade bait or a bargaining chip in some of these international relationships, and it's led to some really lopsided relationships. And our hope here is that the president can use this tool to square up the deck and get us a little bit of a better deal with some of these trading partners so that we're not balancing the backs of these different trade deals.
One of the fucking areas of surplus that they can actually fucking force other countries to purchase. Trump is going to go back to every one of these like European countries. You have to lower your restrictions on what kind of food is allowed and only purchase American beef, I guess. Everyone has to eat the hormone jack beef that we sell. Everything is burger.
Balances on U.S. farmers and ranchers. So, we're hopeful this happens quickly and that we can get back to some low tariff trading with our neighbors and our partners.
Yeah, I think you highlighted a point that shouldn't have to be highlighted is they don't want tariff. It's not something that these communities want, but they're saying they're getting screwed over. And why are we accepting products with no tariff on it, and the other countries are putting tariffs on our beef? And I think that's going That's what it's gonna come down to. All these mom and pops, all these local businesses, whether it's the steel, the farmers, all the other producers, they're saying that it needs to be some give and take here. I'm Steve Bruce. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
¡Uy! Tenemos que negociar. Si te sirve, tenemos que negociar. A ver, para. Es que, no. Es que lo que necesito. A ver, si querés te doy esto, mira. Claro, porque yo no necesito armadura. Para. No, yo no necesito armadura. Uy, te voy a dar algo que está muy bueno en realidad. ¿Cómo? Y mira, comparándolo.
¿Qué atributos tiene lo que has pillado?
Ah, mira, te lo muestro. Mira, tengo esto también que... Esto es que en realidad no es para mí.
Ah, no, te vale a ti eso.
Me vale a mí, pero mira, podemos hacer un intercambio, mira.
No, yo no hago melee. O sea, me lo podría... Es mejor, no sé.
Uy, mire cómo se ve. Pero ¿para qué sirve la armadura? Bueno, no sé si vos usabas algún personaje con armadura. ¿Ah? Ese casco es armadura.
Te da un menos 16% de daño en el melee. Y a ti te pegan más en melee que a mí. ¿Entendés?
Claro.
Por eso te digo que siempre mira los stats, que siempre hay uno que es mejor para un personaje que otro. Dame el otro.
Bueno, toma.
Es que no, me lo voy a poner porque me da 15% de rarity de ahí. Vamos a encontrar más.
Claro. Ah, es el que yo venía usando.
Sí. Bueno, ahí vamos. Unos de... Sí, compramos un poquito.
Freezing strike!
Por acá ya estuvimos. Gas. ¿Va a volver al pueblo?
No podemos estar aquí abajo.
A ver, punto. Allá arriba no sé si está abierto, boludo.
Algún lado tiene que haber algo aquí. Y ahí había un checkpoint que no puedo decirlo.
Creo que acá.
Sí, ahí es. Ok, voy a subir de nivel.
Oh, acá está el jefe.
Tráelo para acá, tráelo para acá. Si no lo disparan los de allá. Tráelo para abajo.
Acá. ¡Puta! ¿Por qué justo me pongo? Oh, Dios. Ay, si me dejan estos lobos, man.
The US practice is not in line with the rules of international trade and is a typical unilateral bullying practice.
As China hit back, Trump hit the golf course, away from the White House, but still furiously posting. China played it wrong and panicked, he wrote. Hang tough, he urged Americans. But as Wall Street opened, stocks turned red again, plunging too in Europe and the UK. Face to face with America's NATO allies, Trump's top diplomat, arriving late and playing down the economic risks.
No, their economies are not crashing. Their markets are reacting. No, their economies are not crashing. Their markets are reacting to a dramatic change in the global order in terms of trade. And so what happens is pretty straightforward. If you're a company and you make a bunch of your products in China, and all of a sudden, shareholders or people that play the stock market realize that it's going to cost a lot more to produce in China, your stock is going to go down.
Warnings though from the Manch.
I like that he just walked. I like that he walked through the steps of like a market crash, but used more words to describe it. Okay, I guess it's not then. Never mind. Yeah, this is just a brief moment of instability that has caused stock prices to plummet, but that's actually healthy and good, and you couldn't consider it to be a market crash. More like market fun.
Charged with keeping US inflation in check, striking a somber note.
It is now becoming clear that tariff increases will be significantly larger than expected. And the same is likely to be true of economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth. The size and duration of these effects remains uncertain.
This guy, that's the Fed announcement using the term cook, not Jerome Powell, this other dude, is also a recession indicator. I saw that clip. He verbatim said, the market is cooked. Another recession indicator. When you got like a 65-year-old dude saying that, it's like you're cooked, ironically.
While tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation, it's also possible that the effects could be more persistent.
That's a potential game changer for a nation that's benefited from an open market. With free trade, America lost manufacturing jobs but gained cheap goods, many of them made in places like China. But now that the president wants those manufacturing jobs back, it seems the days of cheap goods made in places like China are over. And that's bad news for Americans when it comes to the price of their shopping.
That means the prices are going to go up on the consumer. So
it is wild that Donald Trump is such a force to be reckoned with.
Quickly.
That he's gotten all of these people to like openly admit the negative consequences to domestic manufacturing after multiple decades of unlimited, quote-unquote, free trade policies. Like, this is the type of shit that I have to badger the average college-educated liberal on for hours every single fucking day until they get it. As they tell me that I'm doing voodoo economics when I describe the negative consequences of this free trade negotiation. And now they're just revealing it. Shouts out to Donald Trump, I guess. How crazy? How crazy is that? That virtually all of these mainstream liberal outlets are now openly explaining what the truth is and what has become of the American manufacturing.
¿Perdón?
The American
Yo no voy a comer, pero come tranquilo, yo te espero acá subiendo mi árbol.
The show. They're all on the phone, begging for mercy. There will be a lot of deals made in the next week or 2 or 3.
You look at the $5 trillion in investment, the factories that are going to be built here. These are big companies: Honda, Mercedes-Benz, Nvidia. You've got all these, Apple. They're going to be building things here in this country. Long term, that's a recipe for success, to reindustrialize. Much of the world, we've deindustrialized because it went somewhere else. This is
we want.
It doesn't even make sense. I mean, I called this early on where I said Trump is going to cause inflation, and then Republicans are going to say it's patriotic to pay high prices, and they're already doing that predictably, but what doesn't make sense about this argument, coming from drunk-ass Larry Kudlow, and it's probably indecipherable because he's drunk as a skunk, is the notion that, like, oh, well, these guys are coming back to do big deals with America. Okay, so then what? You're defending prices increasing so that we can build, manufacturing hubs in the United States of America, and then you're saying, but all these silly Asian countries, these Asian children are coming home to Papa to cut new deals with the United States of America so we can keep the flow of cheap goods. Okay, so then it is good to have a flow of cheap goods then. It makes no sense. You're getting shit talk right now. It says stable Ronaldo. What the fuck is this, bro? What is this?
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Oh no! Hey, I'm eating, bro. God damn, that was wet. Oh, he dookied in there. Oh my god, that was a shark, brother. That was disgusting. Stable Ronaldo, fuck you. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Whatever. No.
They're eating too. Oh, bro, he knows what he did. Look at his face. He knows what he fucking did. Oh, no! My god, it almost played again. Oh, my lord. Oh, my god. Stable Ronaldo, you fucking asshole. Look at what you did to us. We're already suffering over here. The fucking global economy is collapsing. And you had to come in here with a 7-month-old clip? Lacey doesn't even look like that no more. His farts, he done farted all of his farts out of his body. It's over now. He can't fart like that no more. He doesn't have motion like that. A caution flagrant after market crash. I didn't vote for Trump. Oh, that's amazing.
Are you happy that the U.S. stock market is crashing? Isn't that what you wanted? Because you interviewed Trump and voted for him? Oh, okay, you just interviewed him for millions. For millions of people. Maybe she didn't want to come because maybe some of you guys shouldn't have podcasting equipment. Did you ever think about that? It's not a TikTok talking point.
That's a pretty good sentence, though, right? Literally.
I'm not talking to you.
Bro. Akash? How the fuck is he the luckiest man on the planet? You're already lucky as fuck to be able to make like millions of dollars just shooting the shit with your buddies with a podcast. But I know this is like the only person that he's ever been with. They've been, because I remember watching a video I remember watching a video of him talking about like his relationship with his wife, and it is crazy. Like, no disrespect to Akash, but holy fuck, his wife is so out of his league. How did the luckiest man on the planet? He has the heavens mandate, dude. Says you rewatching his content making millions, shaking my head. Yeah, that's why I said we're very fortunate. It's arranged, didn't do anything, bro. He could have been arranged to something totally different. Okay. This man, I didn't know it was like this at home, bro. I'm sorry. This is crazy. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, if you roll high on your first try, no need to roll again. Exactly. Yeah, no shit. He's only been with one woman, bro. What the fuck? The arranged thing is fake. I don't care. I don't care how this happened. All I'm saying is this man already is in like the top 1% of luckiest people on the fucking planet by virtue of being in America, becoming a fucking successful podcaster in America, and that's his wife. That's crazy. And she's smart. She's not even like a dum-dum who she doesn't even like Donald Trump. Respect.
¿Cuántos tengo? 4.
Seriously, I don't know how the fuck. I don't know what he did. I don't know what kind of rabbit's foot he carries with him everywhere he goes. But goddamn, dude. Bro, you're live chill. Look, I'm just saying, he's a very, very fortunate that he is swung way above his pay grade on this one. This is entirely
Those
out
are
of his
best
league.
friend.
And it's not even disrespectful to him. I'm just, I'm glazing her. She's gorge but made a mistake. Yeah, he's fine.
We're going to pay.
I'm extremely worried about the prices going up because it's affecting our families here in America. So yes, I'm very worried about that.
So do you think the government's making a mistake?
¿Mejoraste largo? Yo estoy mejorando todo, vieja. Estoy gastándome toda la mierda.
Could see the world on the road to a global recession. A Trump-made one, but the president isn't changing course. David Blevins.
No, pero bueno.
Porque cambias los items en 5 niveles, ¿entiendes?
Yeah. Gruesome Governor Gavin Newsom, who obviously maintains the tech.
Pero bueno, hay que mejorarlos por lo pronto. Tampoco van a quedar ahí.
With Silicon Valley is trying to cut side deals as the 5th largest standalone economy on the planet. Because in terms of retaliatory tariffs from the European Union, they don't buy a lot of our cars. They do buy a decent number, but they don't buy a lot of our products. But there is one thing that they do buy. It's tech. So if Europe comes down hard and in retaliatory tariffs against the United States of America, you might as well put all of the onus on California and on the Californian economy. Because California is what sells a lot of this product, a lot of these services, financial services, tech services, things of that nature. It's like California, New York. And that is basically what Europe consumes and purchases from us. So if the EU comes back hard with retaliation in the form of adding additional hurdles to enter the marketplace for tech coming in from the United States of America, or additional regulation, California's kind of cooked. Oh, see? France singles out digital service for EU's tariff response. Exactly. Tech accounts for 21% of all U.S. exports. Yeah, also, for EU, it's a larger percentage, if I'm not mistaken. And a big chunk of that comes from California. Which is precisely the reason why Gavin Newsom is like, hey now, we are the 5th largest economy as a state. Let's make a side deal. Let's make a deal. We love deals.
And on behalf of 40 million Americans that live in the great state of California, the 10th part of the U.S. economy, 14% of the U.S. GDP, the 5th largest economy in the world, the dominant manufacturing state in America. Our state of mind is around supporting stable trading relationships around the globe. And that's why today I've directed my administration to look at new opportunities to expand trade and to align our trading partners around the globe that California remains a stable partner.
Seeing a lot of penguins in your social feed recently, more than usual? You can thank U.S. President Donald Trump for that. On Wednesday, Trump announced sweeping reciprocal tariffs against nearly 200 global trading partners.
We will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%.
But far down, or far south you could say, on the list, are a group of remote, barren, and uninhabited islands near Antarctica. Heard Island and McDonald Islands, a territory of Australia, were slapped with the 10% baseline tariff despite importing no products from the U.S. in the last year or having any economic activity since 1877.
And that's why they're fucking us over. Those penguins, they're fucking us over. Oh, you thought you were slick. You thought you were slick with your trade deficit. You better start purchasing F-150 pickup trucks right now. Get to work, you lazy fucks. For far too long, these so-called uninhabited islands have refused to buy American. My administration has decided not purchasing a fleet of Tesla for your uninhabited island is akin to terrorism. We will take over first Greenland, then institute Danelaw on the UK once again. And last but not least, Madagascar and Club Penguin will be dominated. We are taking over the Penguin Island. The reign of terror will end. Everything is Tesla, everything is computer.
The islands also don't have any actual residents, except for these guys. And so the internet did its thing and exploded with penguin memes, mocking the seemingly pointless tariffs on the islands, which are among the most remote places on Earth. Some expressed the penguins' frustration with the tariffs. Others poked fun at Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance's last meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. While others even suggested the penguins in Ukraine should join forces. Export data from the World Bank says the U.S. imported $1.4 million worth of products from Hurt Island and McDonald Islands in 2022, but it's unclear exactly what those products were.
I think what happened was, whatever was the internal deliberation going on, my suspicion is that they couldn't reach an agreed conclusion. They needed something that was broad and uniform. They applied the rule and they kind of ran it over the full list of countries, and it produced a lot of these kind of nonsense numbers.
But that hasn't stopped the march of the penguin memes and just adds to the general sense of confusion as to why the islands and their waddling inhabitants were targeted with tariffs.
I mean, the European Union won't take chicken from America. They won't take lobsters from America. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful. And theirs is weak.
Breaking news, Vice President J.D. Vance.
Oh no, Jim Cramer says he was wrong to have believed Trump on tariffs. I feel like a sucker.
Just saying the Trump administration is, quote, feeling good about
God.
Trump's tariffs.
We're feeling good. Look, I frankly thought in some ways it could be worse in the markets because this is a big transition. You saw the president said earlier today, it's like a patient who was very sick. We did the operation, and now it's time to make the patient better. And that's exactly what we're doing.
All right, this is Jim Cramer from CNBC's Mad Money.
How could he have thought that it would be worse than what has happened so far? Like mass suicides at the New York Stock Exchange? Like, what is he saying? And it's just the beginning, too.
Who has never been a free trader, right? So he's not just out here to go against them. He's saying the White House doesn't seem to understand what it's trying to do, and that the reciprocal tariffs are not reciprocal. and could do tremendous damage. So out front now, Jim Cramer of CNBC's Mad Money and Squawk on the Street, all on CNBC, that incredible network that I will love to the day I die.
Just so great to be here with you, Eric.
So, and I'm so thrilled that we're able to talk. Okay, so what the heck is going on?
Well, I'm let down because I'm not a free trader. I'm a fair trader. Always have been from the days when you worked with me at CNBC.
Yep.
And what I was hoping was that
Remember when he was talking about? Remember when he was threatening the UAW for daring to strike against the big three? And said that Mexico is right there. Puebla. Mexico's right there. They'll move the fucking facilities to Puebla. I think that conversation in of itself should show you exactly what these guys are fucking worried about. And it kind of should show you why I'm not exactly the #1 defender of free trade. Do you understand? Because when the UAW was striking against the big three auto manufacturers in the United States of America for fair contracts, this fucking asshole went on television and said they should just move the facilities down to Puebla. That's the problem. I guess you recognize the problem, but you don't think it's a problem.
If you are charging us 20%, we charge you 20%. Instead of a car where we're only making you pay 2.5%, and you're not letting us in, we try to get things better. But
So on a specific thing, you go, if they're 10 on a car, you go 10 on a car.
But I went deep in the numbers today, and the numbers did not make any sense. And I was actually...
I was doing like bananas in Vietnam. You did Cramerica.
I just said, it's one of these things where if I'm doing 100 billion and you're letting me do 10 billion and I'm letting you do 100 billion, there was a way to be able to make it work. But the numbers that they did, and they had this ridiculous, that was the chart that they had with the mathematical equation. I mean, are you kidding me? How about just like...
It looked like an Einstein.
I know. How about the fact that it was just wrong? And what bothered me, Aaron, was that they really did. Over and over again, the president said, listen, it's going to be reciprocal. So you do it, we do it. And that was going to be so good. And I really believed in it. And I feel like a sucker tonight because I am not a free trader. And I do not believe in free trade. And I was just as tough, if not tougher than his people. But they screwed it up. And they really they did it by the way. And I was very let down. This is really free trade is awful for the American working person. This is what they came up with. Jeez, come on, have some punch, have some back.
Okay, somebody send me the Puebla link, please. He's not a free trader, he's a fair trader. Because if I recall, like I said, when he was talking to the UAW contract negotiation, he certainly came across like he was a fucking... he certainly came across like he was a fucking free trader, I'll tell you that. Why would you link me a low overruled tweet that just says, I'm definitely going to have to post cock and balls? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Yeah, here it is.
Contract they're operating under more money, which is the only way to get them within the contract they're operating under more money. So I know that Ford felt a little upset that Biden...
For just $10.99 each, you can mix and match any medium 2-topping Parmesan stuffed crust pizzas at Domino's.
Nor it has ever more evasions, and the crashing waves. That one then brings you to the side into Stacker, where the attributes take what you need. Intelligence or dexterity. Gotta be having enough to equip everything dex intelligence wise as you're looking for this evasion plus energy shield gear. On your chest, probably maximum evasion though. To the most important one next up. We're going for more attributes and then reduce skill cost. Your skills are going to be expensive, especially as you're then using Ice Strike, so conservative casting will keep you more topped up. Then we're...
Entonces, en esta primera vuelta de Libres 2, en la que Luján ha pasado bien como número 1, vemos como justo en el...
That's when I knew it was indeed a great move, by the way. I already felt that way on principle, but as soon as Jim Cramer came out, I was like, that was not a great move. I was like, oh, it's indeed a great move. Perhaps the best one. You know? Inverse Cramer, baby. Always and forever. Inverse Cramer, undefeated. Inverse Cramer, always and forever. But remember, he's a fair trader, not a free trader. You know, he's a fair trader. It's just the UAW was being unfair. You know.
If you favor workers,
yeah, you're right.
If you favor workers away from the UAW, it's not a great move by the president.
The reason why I brought that up is not to dunk on Jim Cramer, even though it's a favorite pastime of mine. Obviously, we love making fun of Jim Cramer. The reason why I brought that up is because he's fucking lying here, and it's very instructive for people to understand exactly how free trade works. Do you see what I mean? Because what he's saying there as a threat to the UAW is a weapon that the bosses over at the Big Three could have wielded over the UAW to be like, all right, we're fucking changing manufacturing to Mexico. That is in the USMCA. That is how, that was in NAFTA. That is how these things work. That's why we have designed these trade relationships, these trade agreements with other North American countries. That is a direct example of how these free trade agreements undermine labor power across the board. It is perfect. That's why I chose it to you.
How in the world do they do that? After all of this,
They assured us over and over again, Aaron, that they were going to do the thing that would make it so that the tariffs would come down and the countries that were bad actors would change their.
I feel so out of my element trying to learn all about the interconnectedness of politics. Holy shit. I mean, I try to do my very best, but if you have any specific questions, I can explain it to you.
Their ways, and then Israel decides to get rid of tariff.
And they tariffed them anyway.
Vietnam decided to, and they still got the highest tariff. It was such a shame because they missed the opportunity, and now they have to pay the price. And it's funny too because none of this stock market, none of this happens. And I feel bad for a lot of people. It's funny when this happens. I hope people just be calm, be constructive. But the way that they handled it was so bush-like that I was surprised. President Trump has people around him.
Yeah, and the people around him who know these things have been begging for exactly this to happen. Specifically, Peter Navarro. So, no, I don't think this is all that shocking. I think this was expected. He said he was going to do it. If you understood what Peter Navarro was all about, you would know that this is what he wanted to do. The purpose here is not to like rebuild American manufacturing necessarily, but it's seen as a matter of national security. They go to war with China, and they can't do that with the relation between China and the rest of the world, but specifically the United States of America is so interwoven to the profit margins of American capital owners. You can't go to war with China. I mean, dude, Donald Trump's shadow president, Elon Musk, has fucking factories in Shanghai. Like, what are we talking about? The guy who is literally shoving his dick in every orifice of the federal government right now. Donald Trump's very own attack dog until recently, until his massive failure. Elon Musk has fucking factories in Shanghai. There is no national capitalist class. That just does not exist. These people don't care about national boundaries. Elon Musk is not even American. He's South African by way of Canada. It's just so fucking stupid not to recognize the reality that these people only care about profits, nothing else. And I'm not saying that because I'm like, oh, they should be nationalistic. I don't mean that at all. I don't want that. It's fucking stupid. But it's just like that's how deep our relationship with China goes in terms of trade.
Things and
so what? Okay, can you explain why when you hear
why not just tariff China then? Why do we tax almost every other country? Because we're fucking stupid. That's the first answer. The second answer is number one, we're stupid. Second answer is because Trump thinks in the short term that we are going to generate revenue off of this, and then that revenue will make up for at least one taxable period where he can just claim to fucking erode or permanently erode all fucking income taxes. Okay? That's another reason, and it's incredibly stupid, incredibly short-sighted. It will collapse this fucking country. I cannot even imagine a world where income inequality and the wealth disparity grows even larger in this country because we are already, I feel like we're already fucking tapped out, you know? What more? Just like servile slave masses, 99% are enslaved in like prison-style company towns or something at gunpoint. They have to, Disco Elysium, basically. The answer is Disco, or not Disco Elysium, sorry. The answer is Elysium, the movie.
It's a chill.
Not Disco Elysium. I apologize. Disco Elysium looks like a fucking utopia in comparison to this. And
people have lived in this.
I guess that's like the one step removed from where we're at right now with the accelerated wealth disparity. So those are the reasons why they're doing this. The reason why they're doing global tariffs also is because they have this idea that this is going to somehow force foreign companies to open up more manufacturing facilities in the United States of America, make cars in the United States of America, get more jobs for Americans, I guess, and also in return, we are going to force our product that we are not even fucking manufacturing here right now. We're going to force our product into their marketplaces regardless, without any tariff considerations for their sovereignty in terms of like the domestic regulatory agencies that they have. Not only are we undermining our federal regulatory agencies here in the United States of America by way of Elon Musk, we're also forcing trade disputes with no mediator body that exists right now because of the Obama era attitude towards World Trade Organization, with no way of disputing any sort of fucking contract. Basically no way of disputing any sort of trade issues because we have stalled the course. The car argument is insanely weak. EU car makers already got most of their production for U.S. market in the U.S. No, I know. These are not my arguments. Yes, of course they're weak. I'm trying to explain to you what their perspective is. I'm not saying that this is a good argument. I disagree with what they're doing. But a chatter asked me like why they're doing this, so I'm explaining what their reasoning is, what their hidden reasons are, and what their overt, open reasons are. I will also explain to you after I describe the reasons that they're stupid, as I have all day long. So every part of this argument is stupid because we don't even have the facilities. So it's stupid across the board. And some people think it's a wealth transfer. I don't think it is. I mean, everything we do is a wealth transfer. The system is designed for everything to be a wealth transfer to the very top of the wealthy. And so that's just a normal byproduct of the structures that we exist under. So whichever way Trump goes, it's always going to be a wealth transfer. And this is a directly anti-capitalist initiative implemented with an anti-capitalist vision. that's just a secondary consequence. It's just a permanent thing that happens under capitalism regardless. But yeah, I guess like they want to fucking abolish income tax, which is so stupid. And also
Sí. Dale.
And I guess they want to rebuild a world trade organization that is completely controlled by America, that like writes off China and doesn't allow China into it, or doesn't allow China to get the favored nations benefits, for example, like it does, which stop as it works, as it is right now. That stops countries from being able to add additional tariffs to China that they won't add to other markets. It's just one of the many things that the favored nations benefits offers countries like China, and Trump wants to stop that because he wants to sever the rest of the globe's ties with China by force in order to turn China into kind of like the USSR. The USSR did not have complex trade relations with the United States of America, which made it easier to engage in Cold War. But if you have a direct trade relationship with the United States of America, the Americans rely on commodities that they get from you, that makes it infinitely more difficult to sever relationships with, sever ties with, and to go to Cold War with. Here's a great example of this. Fucking TikTok. TikTok is a treat. Think about how costly politically it is to make Americans not look at TikTok any longer, make it illegal to be on TikTok. Think about how difficult that is. It's the same principle for every commodity that is produced in China or in a secondary market that China has moved into in an effort to avoid the sanctions regime that Trump was signaling towards China. That's the reason why Vietnam gets hit with these tariffs too, by the way. Part of that is because they're not buying enough from us, and we're buying everything from them. And the other reason is because Vietnam isn't just Vietnam. It's not just Vietnamese interests. It's just Chinese interests as well.
Mierda.
He wants to turn China into Japan, essentially like a vassal state. You can't do that. Because Japan was a vassal state post-World War II. You can't do that to China. China is a sovereign nation. China does not have military bases. Chinese constitution was not written by the United States of America and completely controlled, as it was like developing post-World War II, by American interests and the American military. Here's a Democratic pollster saying, it appears this is the fourth worst back-to-back day for the DJIA in American history with a two-day combined minus 8.65% loss, only trailing the 1929 crash, 1987 Black Monday, and the 2008 financial crisis. I guess you can't correct 30-plus years of budget deficits, trade imbalances, and anti-American globalist giveaways in less than a week. Why are these guys... Are these guys actually, like, right populists? Like, I'm a little confused, because their output comes across like they do care about American manufacturing. But I don't think that they do. I've never seen anything from the Trump administration, nor its dick riders, that suggest that they give a fuck about benefits and compensation packages and unionization in this country. They're inherently antagonistic towards American labor unions. And the only reason why they can even ostensibly present themselves as pro-labor or pro-labor union is because there is no motion within the labor unions anymore. The union participation rate is 10% in this country. Unions are entirely gutted. They have no power to constitutional, to Supreme Court decisions. They have eroded all semblance of power. The Trump administration is also delivering a final blow to the NLRB as well. So, and he fucking, with the stroke of a pen, revoked the rights of federal union employees to collectively bargain.
Sí.
1.5 million people lost their right, according to the Trump administration, the power to bargain, to engage in collective bargaining agreement. This is not an administration that cares about labor unions. This is not an administration that wants American manufacturing to return to its heyday, to return to its glory days.